Next, we have Judy Ho. Judy is the Bay Area Director of Technovation, and the Technovation Challenge is the largest and longest-running global technology competition exclusively for young women in STEM. Their intensive program covers the basics of coding, user interface design, market research, business plan development, and crafting a startup pitch. Please welcome Judy Ho.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So as Mark said, I'm the Bay Area Director of Technovation out here, and that role's kind of been changing as time goes on and the program continues to grow. So I'm focusing more on curriculum and our website development going forward. So before I found Technovation, I've been at Technovation for about a year now. I used to work at Intel, and I worked at Intel for about 4 years doing CPU validation, specifically the server CPU line. And most of the time when I tell people that, their eyes kind of glaze over and they're like, I have no idea what that means. And what that means in a nutshell is that I make sure the things that you save to the cloud get saved the way that you want to save them, and that when you try to retrieve it, it comes back to you the way that you want it. And I try to make it go fast. So before I worked at Intel, I did my undergrad at MIT and I got my degree in electrical engineering. That's also where I took my very first programming class. It's a very exciting time, a lot of late nights. And before that, I grew up in Chicago, and it's where I spent my entire life before I left for college. And during my time at MIT and in my time at Intel, I noticed a lot of really strange things about the gender ratio. So even though about 57% of all college undergrads are women, and 52% of math and science majors are women, for some reason, only 18% of computer science majors are women. So we have a majority of women in college, yet only 18% are computer science majors. And I can tell you, working in the tech industry at Intel, this is a very true statistic. I've lived this statistic. You know, there were many, many times where I'd be sitting in meetings and I'd be one woman out of 5 to 10 guys, you know, and that's a tough ratio to live with. And there are a lot of reasons for why that ratio exists. And a lot of people think that stereotypes are a part of it. So how many people, when you think of a computer scientist, you think of something like this? You know, someone who sits, you know, with computers all day by himself, doesn't really do a whole lot. And yeah, a lot of people think this. I've thought this, and there are a lot of times when people ask me where I went to school and what I studied, I say MIT and electrical engineering, and they look at me and say, what? Really? And I'm like, why is that so unbelievable? Because in their minds, they see this. They see some guy sitting all by himself, you know, never talking to anybody. You know, and on top of that, a lot of girls like to have impact. And they think that, you know, if you're a computer scientist, you're not ever going to talk to people, and you're never going to help anybody. And I've been there as well. And let me just say that you can have impact, even as a computer scientist, because it's totally up to you what you create. And that's where Technovation comes in. Technovation is a global technology entrepreneurship competition for young women. So sorry guys, you can't submit for us, but you can still use our curriculum and our stuff online, and you can still use it to create. And what we challenge all the young women who enter in our competition is to create an app to address a problem in your community. Right? Apps are everywhere now. Pretty much everybody has a smartphone. It's a huge market, and how else can you reach a broader community than through the smartphone? And Technovation has really grown over the years. Since 2010, when we started with 45 girls with an in-person program, we've received submissions ranging from games at the very beginning to apps like this now, where we had a submission from Korea to address the problem of a lot of paper receipts. That's a lot of waste. And so they use NFC for mobile payments in Korea, and they have something to track receipts. They created an app to do that and to track your expenses and your budgeting. And then there are also issues like local produce. How do you get local produce, especially in urban areas? A lot of people don't have access to that. We're fortunate enough to live in California, where that, you know, it's abundantly available here, but not everybody has that. The drought's an issue here. Some students created an app to help with water conservation. Some tips for how you can be a part of the solution. Cycling is also a big thing. Here in San Francisco, a group up in Portland is also a big thing in Portland. They created an app to help cyclists track routes and hazards to minimize accidents, because there are a lot of cycling accidents out there. And like I said, in 2010, we started with 45 girls in an in-person program, but since then, we've moved away to an online submission platform, and we receive submissions from all around the world. And just this last year, we received submissions from over 1,500 girls in 26 countries. And that only adds to the diversity of the problems that we see and the types of apps that the students create. We have students from India who are trying to tackle the problem of female safety by tracking the all-female buses out there, right? And that's a solution, a problem that's very unique to their community. So how does Technovation work? In a nutshell, Technovation, the students work with, in a team of 3 to 5 students, with a coach who is usually a teacher and with a mentor who is a female professional, usually from the tech industry. And so the female mentor, if you have issues trying to find one, we try to help you with that, and we match you up. And there are mentors who meet with their teams virtually via Skype or Google Hangout, or in person. Our curriculum supports App Inventor. How many people have heard of App Inventor? So it's a blocks-based visual programming language where you can quickly prototype Android apps. Also, some mentors take their girls on field trips to show them what the workplace is like. I had the opportunity to take my girls to Facebook, called in a favor from a friend. They were really excited, but who wouldn't be with free ice cream? And then at the end of the competition, after all the submissions have been reviewed, the top 10 finalists come to the Bay Area here for a World Pitch Finals, where they get to get on stage and pitch to tech professionals from the industry here. So this year we had judges from Dropbox, from LinkedIn, from Intel. And a lot of girls say, or a lot of students really in high school say, I've never programmed before, how can I do this? How can I possibly do that? Well, 65% of our girls have never programmed before. You know, they've never taken a development class, and that's okay. You know, when I was in high school, I would have been a part of the 65% statistic. And that's why we use App Inventor, because App Inventor is easy and it takes a lot of the syntax out of the way, so you can really prototype rapidly. I really wish that I had had Technovation when I was in high school, because Technovation not only teaches you how to program an app, not that I had apps when I was in high school, there were no smartphones yet, but it teaches you how to sell yourself and your product, how to differentiate yourself. Because it's great, you can build a great product, but if you can't explain to someone what it does, why it's great, no one's gonna use it, right? So that's a really, really important skill. And presenting well. You know, when I was in high school, I was consumed with APs and what APs here and there and all of that stuff, and I'm sure everybody still is, and these are important, right? They're important, but what's more important is that you really take the opportunities to go out there and create and to present your work and to showcase yourselves. I had a mentor from Intel tell me when I was during an internship that if you're ever given the opportunity to present, take it. Just please, please do it well. You know, and I didn't believe him then, but I totally buy into it now, because that is your opportunity to stand out and really make a mark and sell yourself. So that's my advice, is to always remember to create and always remember to present and sell yourself. Thank you.